Hey there, you beautiful people. This week's episode is brought to you by Deep Creek Glassworks. Deep Creek Glassworks is your place to find handmade, one-of-a-kind glass for everybody. Trying to stand out with a handmade gift? Trying to impress your loved ones or someone you would like to become a loved one? Look no further, Deep Creek Glassworks has you covered. They offer ornaments, pendants, wine glasses, functional glass, and more. Hop on their website to pick up your glass pumpkin decoration just in time for Halloween. They offer fast shipping and crush-resistant boxes, so support a local business and check them out at their new website, deepcreekglassworks.com. Works is spelled W-O-R-X. And just for you, make sure you use the promo code SUPERFUN for 10% off of your next order. So go ahead, hop on deepcreekglassworks.com, W-O-R-X, and get all of your glass needs met today. Love you guys.
Welcome back for another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go. Find us on Facebook.com/SuperFunPodcast, Twitter.com/SuperFunPodcast, Patreon.com/SuperFunPodcast, Instagram at SuperFunPodcastGo, iTunes at Superfun Game Review Podcast Go. Thanks and enjoy the show.
Welcome back for another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast. Go!
Go! Oh, fuck! Got it, John. On the money. Fuck!
Here we go again. The intros. To my left, Ralph.
Oh, shit. I don't even have a quip. Fuck. There was something I had that was really funny.
Cool. Across from me. Across from me, Clark.
Nope.
Ross is the best character in the game.
Wow. To my right, special guest, John.
Dinosaurs are metal.
They are in more ways than one.
That joke has layers.
They do. It does. You got to dig deep.
Yeah, it's like a parfait.
Well, really, not that deep, but
you gotta,
still,
like, shoot pieces off of that joke.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
Just shoot it off.
You gotta tie it to the ground and stun it.
Whoa, Ralph, whoa.
To my left, I have Ralph.
Nah, it's
Great. Was that like one of the fucking beasts like noticing you in the fucking
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a watcher.
And this almost seems pretty appropriate.
And across from me, I have Ralph.
No.
He still doesn't have anything.
No, still nothing. Okay, my turn. You're an idiot. A dangerous idiot, but an idiot. I am your host, Steve. Tonight, we have Horizon Zero Dawn.
All right, Ralph, you got your quip?
We'll stop back in.
I'm serious. I something happened and I was like, this is perfect.
Did you write it
down?
You're going to get text
No,
in like
Cool.
3 hours.
Yeah,
like,
I
got it! Should have said this!
When you think of it, just randomly yell and interject. So, this has been on the docket for a little bit. We wanted to make sure that we did this while John was here. There were some feelings, and I think we're going to have an interesting conversation tonight.
Fuck!
I don't remember that quip.
No, that's not part of the game. Nope.
Okay,
Just me.
cool. On that, let's stagger it a little bit of initial impressions. You know what, John? Why don't you start us off?
It's the whole review.
Initial impressions.
when you were handed the
Not
game
now,
initially.
but hey, here it is.
Okay, so
How do you feel in your groin?
this feels like an 8-year-old focus session.
In your groin?
In my groin.
Wow.
It's like, what do I want in my video game? I want dinosaurs, okay.
Yep.
I want technology,
Got
okay. I want robots, okay. I want redheaded protagonist. And wouldn't it be cool if it was a girl?
Giggity.
And that's it.
I want the girl from Game of Thrones that loves Jon Snow.
Oh, Ingrid?
Gretchen. Or Ingrid.
Gretchen.
Whatever
That's
the fuck her name
I
is.
didn't think of
Ingrid.
that, actually.
Yeah.
Is it
Come on.
Ingrid?
Come on. Yeah.
Whatever.
Come on now. Yeah, Gretchen?
The show's over. I could give a fuck
Sansa?
less about
Gretchen.
Yes.
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 Sansa.
Yes.
Sansa, yep.
Redhead protagonist. All the way.
Lady of Winterfell.
That's my first impression. It feels like it was a focus group tested game to figure out the most important things to the target audience.
All right. Ralph, what's your initial impression?
I remember the E3 debut trailer for this game.
Yeah? That far back?
Yeah. I don't remember when it was. If it was 16 or maybe 15. I know it launched in 2017, but I was kind of like, oh, that looks different. Okay, because it was a new IP, and I think they ended their show with it, and I was like, because whenever they end the Sony like press conference, the last thing they show is like usually something. It's very interesting. Last year or the year before was Spider-Man. I was like, oh, I'm done. Like I just like whatever. I didn't play Spider-Man. Didn't have any interest.
Spider-Man.
I'm something of a game review podcast person too.
Oh, well, here we go.
Ooh.
The trailer really didn't do anything for me, and I didn't buy the game when it came out. I had a PS4 when it did, and I don't know, it sort of went away, and then Harry gave it to us as a gift for Christmas, and I was like, okay, I'll finally get around to playing it, and
Yep.
I was kind of surprised at the beginning where you're like, 6 or 7 years old, like running around. I was surprised that it went there. I thought you just started as Aloy. Playing it in like the first, like I want to say like 20 hours, and please no Final Fantasy 13 jokes, but like the first like 20 hours, it's like a real kind of like you're trying to like feel it out to see what works. And then I feel like I crossed this bridge and the whole game opened up to me.
Yeah.
And it just the combat started to work in a totally different way. I started to think outside the box, and it started to become a lot of fun.
Gotcha.
So there, I'm just going to stop it there. That's my initial thing.
All right. Cool. Clark.
I was really excited to see what all the hype was about this game. Like, it got crazy critical reviews, and like everyone loved it. It was, one of the best new IPs ever created for PS4, and had all these like crazy awards and stuff. And I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with John. It's like a game that was made in a vacuum. It's like take a bunch of buzz topics and throw them all together.
And I gotta say, it makes sense when you look at the developer.
Gorilla?
Well, I mean, we can.
What did they make before this?
We'll get into that with development. So we'll.
Halo killer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
I want to get there now.
We're getting there.
We should just keep the burps in this.
God damn it. Sure. Why not? Let's do it. Fuck it.
All right,
This game
do it
makes me
live.
let's go to
gassy.
game development.
Bruh.
My own initial impression.
Tell me what you think initially.
Tell me what you think. Initially.
Initially.
I only heard this game referenced, never actually looked into it. I had friends that played it, never really came up on my radar. And then, lo and behold, Christmas time, opening the box from Harry, here was the game. So I'm like, all right, good to see what this is all about. Starting out with the game, it was a little slow for me at first, but as it started building, I definitely get what John and Clark were talking about, but I think I had a different outlook on the game after getting like a little further in, but still I don't know, there were certain aspects that were just like, you sit back and you're holding the controller and say, really? It's like, this is where we're going with it. It's like, which we'll get into when it comes into like especially like the story and
Cloning?
the dialogue, and the dialogue, just some of it's just we could really do without. But I digress. So without further ado, I think we should just jump into game development.
Game development.
So as the boys were saying, this was done by Guerrilla Games, and the predecessor for this game for them was, you were saying, Killzone?
Yeah.
Okay.
The franchise, yeah.
Yeah, it was the Killzone franchise.
Yeah, which as you said was supposed to be the Halo killer. What titles were still coming out as of a couple years ago that of notable mention? Was it Halo or Killzone?
They made a Killzone like 2 years ago, yeah?
Did they?
Yeah, there was a Killzone for PS4.
Okay.
There was, yeah.
That was the last one. They switched to
So
new
I'll
IPs,
say this.
but-
I'll say this. Killzone is a very different game
Yes.
than Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah. Yeah.
If this was like their first attempt at making an open world game, good on them.
Yeah. Which I'll
I
give
totally
that.
agree.
Definitely for a lot of the games that were out at the time and in development still, if you're going for like an open world RPG, they did kind of not completely hit the nail on the head, but they were pretty close. I'll say that for like the complete like openness. If you just want to go do this, just go do that. Here's a quest. You can do it. You cannot. and I like the opportunity to make that choice. Do I want to hunt for rabbits or flowers, or do I want to try to take down a giant metal boar or saber-toothed tiger, which they all have that.
Or a thunderjaw.
A thunderjaw.
If you're feeling frisky.
The thunderjaw. Or stormbird.
Yeah, those two.
Cacaw.
Yeah.
Those things were the fucking worst.
They were terrible.
Anyway, game development.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's the same people that made Killzone. Killzone, honestly, technically, pretty good games.
I agree.
They have a lot of polish to them. The problem with that was always content. In terms of, like, with the Killzone games, it would be like, all right, here's the single-player campaign. It's 6 hours long. You're going to beat it in a day. And then there's multiplayer, but it kind of sucks. Have a good day.
Yeah.
You know?
And they basically copied the art style for the... What are they called in Killzone? I forget now. The guys with the eyes.
Oh, yeah. It was basically Wolfenstein, right?
Well, some of that, but also Jinro. I don't know. It's an anime.
Oh,
Are you
yeah,
familiar with it?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell are they called? That's going to bug me.
That's okay.
The Wolf Soldiers.
Yeah,
Jinro.
Yes, but I mean in Killzone, there's a name for whatever they are.
Oh, it's like the DOS Guard or something.
Yeah,
I forget.
Starts with the D.
it's like, alternative universe.
Yeah. I played some of
Empire Nazis.
Yeah, not Nazis, yeah.
Yeah. Not Nazis.
Yeah, exactly.
Not Nazis.
They I played
Also, can we make a game called Not Nazis?
Not Nazis?
where it
because-
is Nazis.
Not Nazis.
All you're trying to figure out is who is a Nazi
and isn't.
and who is not a
You're
Nazi.
not a Nazi.
Who is not
You're
not
not
a
a
Nazi.
Right, but who's also not a Nazi.
And then how
So
you
it's a
decide
it's
at
game
the
of
end of the
spies.
game is
It's-
you
right, it's
tie a
basically
knot,
Mafia.
and then you hang the Nazi.
Right. Yeah, you got to hang the Nazi.
My name is Goebbels. Oh, you're definitely a Nazi. Surprise. It's his cousin Frank Goebbels,
Yeah,
not
Frank,
a Nazi.
Frank Goebbels,
Yeah.
really solid guy. He's a dentist.
What was I going to say? Oh,
Well-
Killzone. I played the first one a little bit, but I played a lot of the multiplayer for Killzone 3 with Bob and his brother. Some of that was fun, but I didn't play much of the franchise.
Well,
but
they're
I would
good
say they're not
games.
bad.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's bring it back to Horizon.
Did Guerrilla make Resistance as well?
Killzone
Oh.
Resistance or Resistance?
Resistance. The game Resistance.
Fall of Man.
I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
We can check on that and bring it back.
We're sending that to our Google machine.
Yeah.
Ralph.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, at least in the meantime, to kind of touch on a topic that I read about for the prep for this, they actually did do focus groups on seeing how the game would pan out with a female protagonist.
You're just lighting his fire.
Hey, you know what? And it's a topic of discussion.
It is.
So it goes. Sony was initially reluctant on having a female protagonist, but once it was brought to the groups and they started doing their research, they actually found that it was pretty favorable, which I would give them a little bit. I actually enjoyed the fact that the main protagonist was female, because usually when it comes into these open world RPG games, you can the first thing that comes to mind is Fallout. You can choose male or female. Otherwise, usually the majority just default to male. But this one, other than
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider,
Tomb
yeah,
Raider.
that's the only other one that really stood out in my mind when I was playing this game. Was okay, so this is kind of a
Metroid.
a different revamp, if not a tribute to Tomb Raider, to hey, here's this young female protagonist who is just trying to find her way, and here's the story.
Rusted Root style. Send me on my way.
Yeah, it's here you go. Good luck.
No, I mean, I can appreciate a strong female protagonist. I think that's a great thing that there's more equality in terms of gender
As you say,
bias.
rolling your eyes.
But I'll say this, and I'm not trying to sound sexist or misogynistic in any way. Being female is not a character trait, just like being male isn't a character trait. Okay?
I agree.
So just being a woman doesn't make that character more interesting. The character has to be interesting. The fact that they're a female doesn't make them more interesting.
True. And actually,
hairstyles.
to piggyback on that,
I can rock some moose and bangs.
oh, he could. I've seen it. It's delightful.
The late 90s were weird.
I don't want to necessarily say it's a cop-out for the dialogue, which,
Right.
again, I don't think this is the appropriate topic for
Game
that.
development.
Yeah. That's fine. You can cut it in post.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
no cutting. We're gonna
we don't do
self-edit here. We're gonna talk about game development, and then we're gonna talk about story.
I just think it was an easy out for some of the dialogue,
What was?
having a female protagonist.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, you can't understand this because you're a woman. You hear that a lot in the game.
Yeah, and
Like, what's a
it's
woman
almost
doing
like
here?
it's
Well,
easier
okay,
to make
okay,
her
but-
more.
Sympathetic?
I guess we'll do it
She's
here.
a woman?
So it's easier to make her more of the protagonist because as a female main character, she already has adversity placed against her as a woman, which you would think initially.
And
but
an outcast and an orphan?
yes, both of those. But once she starts becoming more part of like the Nora tribe is everything of the goddess and the mothers. It's
Yeah.
very female driven, where they are the ones who are like the decision makers in that tribe anyway.
Yeah.
They are the one who's the decision makers. They're the ones who go, who basically lead the pack.
It's not a deal breaker to me. Like,
No.
I don't think it really is any big kind of. I don't think it's
Right.
that big of a deal. I
I
just
No,
I don't.
I
It doesn't
didn't
make
look
any
at it as
difference.
that.
I agree.
The only
For
real
me-
difference is that every guy she walks up to is half of them are hitting on her. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like.
It seems
and she's
like-
like, oh, okay,
Exactly.
stop there. Like, and I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. Like, it makes me think about what some women do go through when it comes to like.
Yeah,
assholes
you're
like that.
not wrong, and that was the other part where I think it's like when it comes to the dialogue that I get it. They're hitting a point of the struggles of trying to be a powerful person, just
And an attractive woman.
and a woman at the same time,
Okay.
and then they start bringing up where you start meeting like the one brother who's supposed to be like the war leader's like, oh well, I'd be a lot better if you kept coming around. Blah,
Oh,
blah,
the guy
blah.
with the
It's
goofy,
like, yeah, with the goofy mustache and shit. It's like, really? It's like I almost feel like that them putting that in there kind of took away from like what they were trying to do. I don't know. That just might be me speaking as a man, but
I think the thing is, for me, when I look at any kind of protagonist or antagonist in media, personally, the character themselves has to be interesting and it has to drive to that conclusion.
yeah.
So for me, the least interesting things about characters are, the fact
Gender.
that their gender or their race, or it's like if you're boring, right? So the fact is, those aren't who that person is as a person doesn't make that person interesting.
It's about the story that
It's
comes
about
along
the
with
story
Right,
that
right.
comes along with them and the choices that they make and their personality and their choices. Just saying that stuff. Oh, look at our sweet, female protagonist. You reduce the fact that she's a woman by saying that she's interesting because she's a woman,
Yeah.
right?
It takes away from like the overall thing that they may have been going for.
Now,
Which,
wait for the Twitter hate.
yeah, well,
Let's make a game about a Mary Sue. It
Hey,
worked for Star Wars.
don't you talk about Mary Sue? She's a good woman.
I didn't say that.
Well, at least let's get back onto like the main
Are
topic.
we
of,
still in development?
Yeah, is there
Yeah,
more
we
you
are.
wanna talk about
Sorry.
for
yeah,
development?
no, we went off on a rant.
I'm a
It's-
guest.
Yeah, he is. Respect him. Where
I'm not older than Clark, though.
No,
He doesn't have to respect
you're not.
me.
No.
Goddamn right.
Where we did see, at least within the development, they started taking aspects of the other open world, and we already mentioned it before, kind of like more of a relaxed way of the system of letting you choose your own thing, but you can also like they have quests included to be able to go and like hack and slash. So they have like different approaches that you can take for the game.
Variety.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's get the story.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's get to the story.
All right. So we need to rope this in and tie this down a little bit. So we're gonna tripcast ourselves down to some story.
Let's trip into story.
Story.
It's what we just did that.
Yeah, I know.
We did just trip in the
I
story.
know we did.
Dude, we were stumbling into story the whole time.
Fucking Ralph over there looking like Artie, the strongest man
I'm fucking shocked
in the world.
that Ashley Birch has not been mentioned yet.
Not yet.
I was
Hold on.
I was
Give
trying
it
to
time.
get there.
He's holding on to
I
it.
was trying to get there.
He was going to wait for
But
sound.
we're in story.
No, I'm not going to wait
And
for sound.
Is she modeled after
Where-
her too?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No.
Which now for story.
He knows the proportions.
Yeah.
So this is a story of a journey. Born an outcast.
Oh wait, what?
This is a story of a journey. Born an outcast.
1, 2, 3, 4. My baby. Sorry.
Cool.
Don't dance around.
That's adorable. But when we really get to it,
sorry.
this is the story of a journey. Born an outcast, Aloy must prove herself through trials, tribulations, and sheer will to learn the facts of her past and ultimately her destiny. All encompassing, that's pretty much like the synopsis of the story. There's a lot of shit that happens in between, which we're going to touch on. You look flabbergasted.
Yeah, I didn't play the game, and that gave me no context to what the actual story is.
Cool.
That's not a good synopsis.
Yeah?
All right.
It's
Okay.
not.
Well, she starts as an outcast.
There you go.
Okay.
And
there we go. This is what I want to know.
Here we go. She starts as an outcast. She's raised by another outcast. When she pretty much, like, at a young age wants to know what happened. Like, where does she come from? Everything else, it's all like a shroud of mystery.
Who her mother is
Who
like
her
the driving factor for the first part of the game.
That is pretty much like the big one. She wants to know who is mother, because in this game, mothers are like obviously, mothers are the life source, but in this, they are on this, mothers are the highest level. And if you're an orphan or pretty much motherless, you're shunned. So her mentor trains her and gets her prepared for the trial to find out, to ask the elders once she wins, what exactly happened. Everything goes to shit when she reaches the trial. Her mentor, spoiler alert, dies. He's gone.
Attacked by the Shadow Karja.
Yes. Basically all you see is just like this evil warlord looking dude. He just fucked everything up.
Yeah.
And
Who has
now,
a machine gun?
yeah, exactly. And with your bow and arrows and spears, hey, here's a machine gun. Get ready. Here we go. And her journey is to learn what happened. So she collaborates with the tribe that she was shunned from and basically becomes the leader of, and then finds other tribes that know about her original one, becomes the leader of them too. And then about 35, 40 hours later, you find out where she actually came from, to her own disappointment, but she was just happy to know.
So I think they could have spent less time. Like, they could have spent the first 10 hours, you and your mentor.
Roast.
Rost.
Yeah.
Rost. Yeah.
It was roast. But
Like,
Rost.
just exploring and understanding how the game works. And this is a gameplay thing, too, in that first region. Whereas, like, instead, it's like, we're going to send you into this trial where you're going to hit A bunch to jump from vine to vine.
I'm sorry, what are you playing this on? Where you're hitting
Whatever.
A?
X.
Fucking X. It doesn't fucking matter.
It's true. I thought it was going to be more skill based on you as the player, but
Yeah,
it wasn't.
it
was
wasn't.
more
No.
story driven.
It was like hit X a bunch, jump through all these vines, climb on these ledges, and then, guy's going to shoot at you with your machine guns, and you're going to shoot him with your arrows, and that's going to be that. And then it's like, congratulations, you're out of the tutorial. Here's the world.
You're a seeker. Go.
But then you don't know how anything fucking works.
That is true, but I think we are
kind of go. We'll get into gameplay in
Yeah.
a minute, but like from a storyline perspective, I get the thematic decision making there. Like, you're this person who gets thrust into a weird situation, and you got to figure it out. But man, like it just doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense.
I mean, with the way they like played the story out, it fits for the gameplay. It fits for the story. It's like, here it is, this. Oh, hey, your mentor died. Figure it out. And that's pretty much it.
And I get where you're coming from there, but at the same time, it shows you in the cutscenes that you can just fucking murder anything. Like, the first, like, few packs of shit, like, even when you're, like, 8 years old, you're killing shit. Like, those pronghorns or whatever.
the
Like the
Striders or
yeah,
whatever.
Striders, right? So you're just killing Striders like easy.
Yeah, left and right.
Right? And then, but that's all in cutscenes. And then, like, you get into the real game, and then all of a sudden you suck at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Interesting point.
it's just like, it doesn't, like, if you're a master tracker and hunter, which, first off, I have a lot of questions of why you even need to hunt these fucking things.
For parts.
For what?
Because
Trade for
that
money, but not for food. You're right.
Yeah.
You're not hunting them for food.
No.
Yeah, you're hunting boars and shit for food. Like,
Yeah,
Exactly.
there is the live animals for the food.
Right.
But they're trying to rebuild their society or learn new things from destroying these robotic dinosaur animals.
Currency and parts.
Yeah, exactly. But all you do is make more arrows. Like, I hate to say that, but that's all you fucking make is more arrows. You're just
okay.
like, it's like, what am I going to build? Upgrades for my bow or more arrows?
Go bow.
No, I mean, but that's
you
the whole
find those.
point.
Like, you find the mods for your bows, and then, like, by the time you've killed enough things, you walk back, and you don't need to, like, really make anything for it. You just kind of have it, and you're like, okay, I'll buy the new bow.
Right. And
Add new mods to it.
yeah, I just maybe this is getting outside of the storyline discussion. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
it doesn't make, like, why are we fighting these robots that only get angry if we start fighting these robots?
If they see you, they have the derangement where before they
I
were
understand.
docile.
Yeah,
before
yeah.
they were docile, and now they attack you on sight.
Right.
So it's either hide from them or destroy them.
But
to
they have
progress.
cities with walls.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you saying that you don't like the game parts of the game? Like, that's just
I don't.
you need a justification.
I
to
don't
hunt.
like the
Hold on.
whole game.
I know you don't,
No,
but
we
you're
get
saying
that.
you need a justification to hunt these.
Right. Just
robotic
explain
animals.
to me what the purpose, because they were hunting them when she was 8.
Okay, I see what you're
Well,
saying.
they've been hunting for even longer than that too.
Right.
Yeah.
They've been hunting them for centuries, right? For purposes that don't make any real sense. They really don't. And, like, they're like, oh, we're hunting them for parts. So you can say, like, we're doing it to understand stuff, but then they're building stuff like arrows. They're not building anything that's, like,
Well, they are.
Substantially
They're-
substantially
technology.
different than, like, Stone Age technology.
I think it is kind of weird that you have to use your money as also
Arrowheads.
yeah,
this
arrowheads.
is going like way off into gameplay. We need to bring it back because this isn't
I agree,
specifically
I agree.
story driven. So let's focus on story. It's like you're making
who's her
great
mo- who-
points.
Who's her mom?
What's that?
Who's her mom?
She was artificially created by Gaia, which
Is what?
so basically back in I believe it was like 2040 2050 something like that. So like the distant but near future.
It's Skynet.
Humanity is coming to an end,
Skynet destroys the world.
which really isn't wrong. So
Really?
So no, but just
Pretty much true.
wait for it. It's not wrong. So the whole thing, which when it comes into like some of the stories, like climate, it's basically
Yeah.
it's all about this is where we are not sustainable. So
Hold on.
let's start building machinery.
So it's another climate change
Hold on,
game?
no,
It's
hold on.
not-
Just
Climate
stop
change.
for a
Climate
second.
change.
So it's basically we're not looking good. So let's start building. Like it did start out as like green technology. Let's start building things that are going to help us. Start creating AI that's going to help us.
Right.
Through that technology, another corporate entity is like, oh, well, we can do this and start making like war machines. So we're going to start doing that. And then the war machine AI was corrupted where instead of just automatically producing, hey, these are, just machines used for war, there was a corruption and, oh, well, we just need to take care of anything that's destroying Earth. Oh,
Right.
We're just going to start killing everybody, which is basically just all the humans.
Right.
So Horizon Zero Dawn is the project of we realize no way to eliminate these machines before all of humanity is extinct. So we're going to work on a project that is basically
It's going to reboot life.
a
on Earth.
terraforming AI that after humanity as we know it is gone, it can begin anew.
Right.
And it has protocols and all these safety features so where if it doesn't work, annihilate everything, start over again.
So Alloy's mom is a computer.
She's
So,
a
Aloy-
clone of
Aloy is
Elizabeth
actually
Sobek,
yeah,
who was the
exactly.
director of the Horizon Zero Dawn project. They were
Correct.
basically saying, okay, we've got this robot menace. We can't stop it. What are we going to do? And she comes up with the idea, it's too late. We can't stop these robots because they eat biomass. They're consuming trees, and I pictured it as consuming people. Too.
Yeah.
It's consuming biomass, and they're self-replicating where they can create more robots off this fuel. So she says it's too late. Here's what we're going to do. They create multiple AIs to basically wait it out because Earth's going to be destroyed, and then, almost like a Gek in Fallout, renew
Good reference.
renew the world. And what's the reason that Gaia makes her?
It's
She makes her
actually
of the
because of
corruption?
Hades.
Yeah,
Right.
So-
exactly. Aloy was the failsafe to the program, to where if the program became out of control,
Right.
she, like as an entity, Aloy, she is created because has like 94 point something percent.
99 point
99.4, yeah,
identical
exactly.
clone to Elizabeth Sobek, so she can gain
I
access.
saw that part.
She can gain
I did
access
see
to
that
those
part.
doors. It does like it does a DNA scan, and she can gain access to these places because she is basically a clone of Elizabeth Sobek. And that's how she uncovers what happened in the past, what's
Right.
going on right now. Basically, the Shadow Karja, the bad guys that attack you in the beginning, they're being controlled by Hades, which is the AI that's designed to wipe the slate clean, and then Gaia redoes it. But Gaia dies.
So Gaia is
And-
trying to fight off Hades, but
Right.
the fact is that the whole point of Aloy is to break the cycle
Right.
because
She's the
Hades
one.
is artificially yeah. So Hades is basically artificially it's rebooting it and limiting what they can learn
Yes.
so that they can't advance past that like Stone Age kind of phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea was they're supposed to figure out how to make it better over time because it's supposed to take generations and generations
Right.
and generations to figure out how to
Correct.
fix things.
Yeah.
Right? But they can't because Hades is basically like, we're not going to let you do that. So Gaia is basically trying to... They bring Aloy into existence to basically be like, hey, this person can figure out how to stop that cycle.
Right. In her lifetime, she'll be able to acquire the knowledge necessary to do this.
Right. So the problem that I have is it's basically the Oracle and
Neo.
the architect from the Matrix.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
As soon as you
kinda
started
is.
explaining that, I was
pretty much that.
like, oh.
If you understand that storyline, you understand Horizon Zero Dawn. Because that's really what they're doing.
I don't know if I like that.
Well, I'll be honest.
I can tell you, I don't.
Yeah.
I know you don't, but like, how do you guys feel about that as a storyline?
The way that it progressed and things were slowly revealed. It wasn't, here's everything right off the bat, here's what you need to do. Throughout the entire like main quest that they have, it's like little by little by little. So I hit one point and it's like, oh, here's this bit of information. This is all we have right now, so we need to find out more about what exactly happened. Like the whole thing is basically her trying to find out what happened.
Hundreds of years ago.
Yeah, hundreds. I forget. I did the math on one of them, but I didn't
Yeah,
write
you
it
don't
down.
know.
But
It could be thousands.
It's a well-paced cliche, is the way I guess you can put it.
Okay.
I want to concur
So,
with what
yeah.
you're saying, that it is well-paced.
No, you're not wrong.
The story was drolled out in little pieces. Of like, well, I wonder where this is going to go. Like, where we're going, and then when it turns out that she's basically just a clone, I was like, oh, okay, well,
yeah.
So
I don't.
So here's my thing. I get that it's a well-worn story trope there.
Mhm.
If I played this game in a vacuum, I'd probably be like, this is a pretty cool story.
Okay.
The problem is that there's so many other instances in sci-fi where it's like
Yeah.
the Earth doesn't work. We need to start it over, right? And then once
The
we
machines
start it
are
over,
evil.
the machines are evil. They're gonna figure this out, and then we have to fight some weird AI.
I even read one of the, or maybe it was.
But my problem isn't that that's a story trope. Sorry.
You're good.
My problem isn't that that's a story trope. It's that every review that I read for this game, everything that I saw in the media was like, boy, this storyline is so inventive.
Okay.
And I was like,
okay, wait. So you had expectations.
I had
You
expectations.
very high expectations
Exactly.
that were
if I
left.
played it in a vacuum, maybe I would have liked it more. But the fact is that I had all these expectations like, oh man, this storyline's supposed to be great. And then I get into it and I'm like, I've seen this movie. I've read this story.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
doesn't do
getting
anything.
that feeling right now as well. Like I feel like I've seen it before, played it before, read it before, and it's just like, okay.
But you haven't heard Ashley Birch do it before.
I don't care.
But at the same time, though, the majority of stuff that comes out
Ralph,
is just a
penis through the bottom
copy
of your shirt.
that's a little bit different. Yeah, seriously, put your dick away, Ralph.
But
Ding ding.
So it's pretty much we've all seen this end game before, like the overall arc of what's happening, but I find what's a little different is the delivery system on how we get there and the story of how we get there, and then the way they expand on the different tribes and the way you see them of this society, quote unquote society, rebuilding again, and how you see the different tribes interact with each other where they look at these machines as gods, literal gods or spirits in some of the other ones, and how they kind of adjust their way of thinking to put this technology on a pedestal of like, oh no, this is like a beyond us entity, which technically it is.
So you like the study of the mythology, basically.
Yes.
Like you enjoy the way that, okay, these are people living out of caves, and it's like, how do they justify in their mind this talking machine?
And one of the big ones for me that kind of came across was in The Frozen Wild, was that on one of the part of that, the Oracle, who spoke to the spirit, which is basically she talked to one of the AIs, was to gain entry to the one facility. They blew smoke into the vents, which set off an automatic, fire detection system, open up everything. And she says, oh, see, I have powers too. And Aloy, knowing what she knows, looks back and just sighs. It's like, you have no idea. So at least the story aspect of how each of these different groups see and incorporate the technology into their system, which is it's a very tribal kind of based game, I guess is the way to put it. That was interesting to me, more for the fact of you don't know how each one is going to view like this old technology in a different way. And that's like the kind of point I'm trying to make of like the journey of how she learns and knowing her knowledge compared to everyone else's, because she's very included, she's very inept onto what's going on.
The focus helps a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
So being only 10 hours into the game or whatnot, and now knowing what I know about the end, I kind of think this game might be the classic. The questions are way more interesting than the answer.
I would give you that. Yeah.
Because where I'm at, none of that AI gods stuff is in it yet, and it's just a bunch of tribes coexisting.
Yeah.
And in that world, how they're trying to all coexist with a tribe that can control the dinosaur things. What the fuck are they called?
I call them machines.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
just machines.
just the machines. People that can control the machines, with the corruptors and shit like that. That's vastly more interesting than the story that I was just told.
Which I made, obviously I'm just trying to pull together a synopsis of a 40-hour game, but
Sure.
you do learn about that.
Them without the AI and the Machina stuff is a way more interesting concept if it has nothing to do with that AI stuff. The second that AI stuff comes into it, it's uninteresting to me because it's been done before. That's why I'm saying the whole tribes against machines is interesting, but you start to turn that away towards the AI and it just becomes meh.
So can I make a point about storytelling?
Go for it.
So the most effective storytelling in the game, because I'll say this, what you were just doing was, I forget the character's name, so forgive me. It's been a couple weeks since I played it. The
Silas?
Silas.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is.
He's basically just storyline spurter. Like, he's never actually in a scene. He's just there like, oh, those were these, and here's what they do.
He shows up later.
He shows up later, sure. My point is, that's a terrible way to tell a story. Like, from a story, like having just this MacGuffin character who just shows up and is like, I'm going to tell you all this stuff that you didn't know, right, is terrible. The best storyline that I experienced when I was in there, and the best development of the storyline that I developed when I was in there, was the first time that you go into, I think it's like a bunker. It's one of the facilities. And there's all these logs from all the soldiers that were fighting off Hades.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like them telling what was happening back hundreds of years ago.
Yes.
Right? That is so much more powerful in terms of telling you. It's not telling you exactly, here's what happened at X. It's here's what this character's perspective of it was when it was happening, right? You don't need to get all the information. That's okay. You can build a picture of this, and I'm not trying to bring this back to a game I love, but when you look at Dark Souls and you look at Bloodborne, they don't tell you any of the story.
Yeah, yeah.
You build it from learning through item descriptions and from talking to characters and getting different perspectives. You don't get that here because it's trying to tell you exactly what it's trying to say. It's different.
He leads you in the direction. He doesn't tell you everything, though. Like, you
he
still
doesn't
have
know
to
everything himself.
Yeah,
That's part of his character. His quest for knowledge. So it doesn't really surprise me that he would be the one dropping all these truth bombs on her.
Yeah,
right.
And then he's just kind of like, oh, here's this thing. You should go check this out. And then you get kind of more. He gives you like a little bit, and then
I'm not just trying to say it's his problem.
No. I got you.
Other characters that do it too.
Oh, they definitely do.
And it's a lot of like, here's exposition, and we can get into this when we talk about dialogue or whatever in the game. But there's a lot of exposition that just gets added.
Yeah,
you know, and it's not necessarily how I like stories to be told. The best stories don't tell you all these things. You know, don't write it down. They don't put it on a piece of paper. You figure it out by reading it and inference. And this doesn't do that well. And for me, that's why your story struggles and why it feels so cliche, because it's like, and it was the AIs.
Yeah.
And you're like, let me figure out what Hades and Gaia are, and don't give me a 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to relationship on why that works.
It took away the journey for you,
right?
Like the discovery for yourself. It's like don't just give it. Yeah,
here's what it is.
I get that.
What it is.
You know what's actually really funny about that is that's actually the crux. Like, the downfall of some of the Matrix movies is there's really long, drawn out, one person speaking context to
Morpheus.
you, so you understand. No,
the architect
Oracle
scene.
and the architect scene.
When he's just like, The Matrix was rebooted 6 times, and it was like, dude, just get to the fucking
just
point.
kept going over.
Right. So, like, that's the thing. Like, it's actually funny. Like,
right.
you say in The Matrix, like, it fits to that. It has the same flaws.
The first Matrix is the perfect movie.
So
yeah, get ready for number 4.
Pretty close.
So
yeah,
I only have one more question about the story. Is like, what's the end? Like, what's like? Does she win? Does she stop Hades?
I don't know if you got to Meridian or not. It's like the
I was
central
close
hub
to Meridian.
Of culture. Okay. It's kind of like a culture hub in the game, and it very much reminded me of like Naboo from the prequels, and a little bit of Game of Thrones mixed in there too. It's basically a big city, and you're defending the city from an attack of the robots that Hades is using.
Yes,
they're ancient robots. They're not like they're ancient machines. They're like
corruptors.
Yes, yeah. They're like a big, more traditional, like a big gun out there, or like a walking tank, like a Metal Gear, basically. They're not like, oh, this is a Tyrannosaurus that has disc launchers on it. It's not that kind of machine. It's an older kind of machine. Hades basically reactivates all of them, and they come up out of the ground, kind of like Breath of the Wild. It kind of reminded me of that. Hard to get away from. And they siege the city, and you get a new weapon for this last chapter, which is this Oseram like launcher that shoots grenades basically, and you defend the city from an attack. Eventually, the section you're at gets destroyed. You fight the guy that you fight in the trial. You defeat him in single combat, and then you go to another area, climb up all the way to the top, and you, with some of your companions, fight another one of those. What are they called?
Deathbringers.
Deathbringer, thank you. you fight that with some of your companions. One thing I forgot to say was I do kind of like at this area people that you've done side quests for. They're in that area, and they don't have a huge impact on the story. But you can go to certain points and like check the defenses here, check the defenses there, and you can see these people that you've done these quests with, and then you have the point of no return with the mission. It actually, to me, was kind of vaguely Fallout New Vegas-ish, where if you save a person or you don't save a person, they're there at the end for like the final battle.
Right. Mass Effect 3 did.
Oh, is
Yeah,
that right?
and-
Because I haven't played that. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
It's
yeah,
all right.
that's
fine.
that's on the docket.
That's fine.
Dog.
That's fine. It is on the docket.
I will say, at least for the final ending, that was very lackluster for me.
It was anticlimactic for me, but I think I have a different reason. We'll get into it.
It's at least if we're talking storyline, then the storyline at the very end, Aloy goes up and basically spears the AI machine of Hades and destroys it, and then
All the robots fall dead.
yeah, and that was at the very end of like this. You spent like an hour and a half like building through, because it's the point of no return type of situation. Once all the battle's over, she stabs it, and then it's almost raises her bow or spear, and that's end game until the after credits, and you see the little Hades entity, like the energy flies up, and Silas or whatever it is, he like captures it.
Yeah. Silas basically at the end is sort of like not a turncoat, but he
We have so many questions, because
they
Silas
set it up for a sequel.
Yeah, they basically did there, in which then they came out with the DLC, and then you learn more about him, and then
I didn't play that.
which it pretty much it bumped it up by the time you're done like the quote unquote main storyline of the DLC. It still leaves it open for, oh, we have more that we need to do, because there's still more questions at the end. So I will say, even though the way there, I did enjoy like the way the story unfolded, and you did have to kind of look around yourself, even though it was fed to you a little bit. They could have done better with the ending. I was a little bit let down by that.
Do we want to move into gameplay?
We can. Just because we're at the ending, I want to say my piece, and then we'll move into
Sure.
gameplay. I was really expecting, or even kind of hoping for, a new challenge right there at the end. Like all throughout the game, the challenges are incrementally increased. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you're fighting a sawtooth, and then it's a ravager, and then it's a
Behemoth.
Behemoth, thank you. And then finally, like the Thunderjaw. Like the Thunderjaw is the top dog. It's like the T-Rex, even though it kind of looks like a Stegosaurus with no front legs.
I'm a bad man.
And I got to the point where I started to really enjoy fighting them, because you take pieces off bit by bit, and they eventually get to corrupted Thunderjaws. So it's the final boss of the game, and here it is. It's this destroyer, whatever corruptor thing that you fought 20 hours ago, and it's a little bit more difficult. I was hoping there'd be like some kind of crazy hybrid, almost like what are the birds? The big birds, not the
Thunderbirds.
Hawks. Like a Thunderbird mixed with
Or Stormbird.
a Stormbird mixed with a Thunderjaw, something crazy off the wall, because they've got all these different animal types and all these different things. Like, get creative for this final boss.
Something unique.
Give it multiple stages. Do whatever. And I got up there and I was like, really, this is okay.
Yeah.
yeah, fighting
Done.
those guys is the most boring boss fight ever.
Which, the Thunderjaws or
No.
what I'm talking about?
The Corruptors?
Deathbringers or whatever.
Deathbringer.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
they were
It's just
terrible.
like shoot a bunch of arrows at this thing.
Yeah, which
That's
I
weak point for
that-
massive damage.
Yeah. But God help you if you're not close enough, because then the weak points are impossible to hit.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in gameplay, but
Exactly, which I think is a perfect intro. We hit everything we could on that. So
we are
we're-
leaving things out in the story.
Yeah,
As I
there
will
is. So go explore it yourself if you feel you would like to. So we're gonna slingshot our way into some gameplay.
Gameplay.
He's ready to trash the gameplay.
All right.
Right, Clark?
Gameplay,
Yeah.
boys. Here we go. Love the open world aspect, though a little bit of concern that I had is the same as Clark's. Like, they give you way too much right off the bat.
I did like everything for the 10 hours that I played. It was like I was doing every single little thing, or like I'd be like running and like all of a sudden like, oh, what was that? What there's like one village right before you go through the wall to get out of like the starter area.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And you're still in the
and there's
cradle.
like, yeah, and there's like 8 fucking quests that pop up. I was like, I can't do this.
No.
I can't do this. And I literally just ran through them all. I was like, fuck it. I'm not even going to talk to anybody.
I did some of the side quests, but I did not try to do all of them.
I was doing a ton.
So that's the thing. Look at an open world game like Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
You look at that, and there's a shit ton of side quests in Grand Theft Auto that you can go do, but they're not presented as of equal importance.
Right. Like
There's no prioritization there. It's just like, here's 20 different missions. Have fun, asshole.
Yeah, but it also says which are the main and which are side and which
Right.
are errands.
Well, you
And
have
errands.
main-
I looked at them
Yeah.
as sort of as tiers. Like
Right.
errands aren't even really like worth it necessarily. Side quests they can be interesting, but not necessarily have a great reward other than XP. And then the main mission, you stick on that to progress.
Yeah. I mean, it's once you
You could get
reach,
lost like that in Skyrim. Like if you try to play any Elder Scrolls game, like if you try to do every quest in an area, you will never get it done.
But here's the like, it's just one of those
Skyrim
things, like,
was fun.
I want to talk about it. I don't mind traversing the world in Skyrim.
Okay.
In this, I felt like you ran a little too slow, and when you were on a strider, the controls were a little too wonky. And when you're trying to climb something, it's
Okay.
the fucking worst. It's like they never fucking looked at a game that has you jump on anything. I can't tell you how many times that I had to like triple jump over a fucking rock. Like it was
Triple
fucking
jump.
ridiculous. Like it was so bad. Like, okay, there's like 2 little, like maybe like a 7-foot incline here.
Okay.
And you're like, okay, jump, finally made it. That's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Like it was the traversal was awful in the fucking game, and it made me hate running around. I started fast traveling as much as I could.
See,
Did you get the unlimited pack?
I didn't. No.
So
Oh, okay.
I was a little bit of the antithesis on that, where I like the fact that I don't have to run down like where the marker and cursor is sending me. I can just mountain goat my way up over this hill instead of running all the way around. I'll find the little ledges and stuff so I can hop back and forth and head over and make my own track, which actually helped out in some of it because especially for like the expansion, if you take like the not the actual path and just head directly to somewhere else after you completed a mission, you were rewarded along the way where with basically the currency in the DLC. I finished one, and instead of taking the path that it showed me, I'm like, no, fuck it. The little marker's up there on my map. I'm just going to run for it.
Dude, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I never took the beaten path, and I felt like it fucking punished me for not taking the beaten path.
Well, I mean, there's also, they guide you, especially in the beginning, they guide you around that beaten path so you can encounter new enemies, so you can start trying to fight them and gain experience and whatnot, and kind of like throw you into it the way they intended instead of just going up and over, which I understand is more frustrating.
I mean, I was like level 15. Like, I wasn't like hurting for experience. Like, it's just like I didn't understand it. Like, I don't understand how you can have such
movement.
bad traversal and movement in the game.
It's like they tried to blend Uncharted and Skyrim.
Yes, that's the problem. Like, either have full jank like Skyrim, where it eventually
Full
works,
jank.
and like
Full jank.
once you like figure it out, or have full Uncharted, where everything's like really smooth and it either works or doesn't.
And it's yellow, so it's a clear indicator that you can climb.
yeah,
Yeah.
or like where
Well,
it
I
looks
mean,
like
Far
there's
Cry does
there's
that too.
guano all over it, just like
Guano.
Yeah,
So, 2017. Here comes Breath of the Wild. You can climb straight up Death Mountain in Breath of the Wild.
okay.
Have you played it? You played it, right?
Are you kidding?
Have you played it?
Yes.
We
Have you
reviewed
played
it.
it,
I'm
Rob?
165 hours plus
Have you
into
played it?
Breath of the Wild.
We can go back
The
into
first-
the 2000s
No, but my point
or
is,
the
my point
2010s
is that
Assassin's Creed.
you can climb stuff, and it tells you the rules of climbing. Right? You're gonna run out of stamina if you keep doing this and you keep trying to do this stuff, and it just works. If you can't do it, you can't do it because you need to get better at doing it. Right? This is like you're kind of halfway to abusing the rules to get over stuff in weird ways that you shouldn't be able to do if you want to be realistic. But like Clark was saying, full jank, right? You're playing the edge game in Skyrim or Fallout where you're just like, all right, I'm going to catch the edge of this pixel because I know I can get up this slope and I'll get my way up there. The problem with this is there's invisible walls fucking everywhere.
Yep.
There's weird things that you can't traverse, but then other things that you can. And falling damage is fucking crazy for the amount of climbing that they want you to do. At least in Breath of the Wild, if I screw something up and I'm falling, I use the hang glider and I'm just like floating around for a little bit and it's fine.
The
Right?
first cliff I came to in this game, like I almost instinctively like pushed a button to like I just wanted to glide off the edge of the mountain. And I was like, oh no, I have to like remind myself, no, you're not playing
You're gonna fall to your death.
Yeah.
You're not playing Breath of the Wild with like a texture pack. You're playing
It's a 15-foot drop. Watch out, you're gonna die.
Well, if you find the way to manipulate it, which especially when you're in like kind of like the deserty red rocks looking thing, where you have like an almost immediate drop down and kind of hug the mountain as you're going down, you're not going to suffer that fall damage.
Sure,
so I still understand completely the point. Yeah, where it's like you go off on the side. So if you don't do that, you're basically shit out of luck. But there are ways to kind of depending on the play style that you can still traverse your way down the side of the mountain, no matter how high it is. But you just need to find the right point to kind of drop off a little bit, drop off. But if you're climbing all the way up like this giant ass mountain or hillside, whatever, you have to understand that you're not going to have like an easy way down. You gotta, if you're already fucking with it.
I get that, but like I shouldn't be able to run up to a cliffside and make a 5-foot jump if I can't then go run into and jump over a 5-foot rock. Because there's tons of that in here where like it's the exact same height.
This is okay because the game says so.
Yes,
and
but
this
isn't.
not.
Like if you're going to make something that's like this free-flowing traversal, like, go to this spot, like you don't have to go take the beaten path, like make it accessible or don't make it accessible and make it obvious that it's not accessible.
Okay.
In Grand Theft Auto, it's easy because it's like you either will be able to jump over
There's
that
a
wall.
ladder or no.
Yeah, there is a ladder or there's not a ladder or something like that. Like, whereas like this, like everything looks like you could climb it. And like, I swear there were several times where I would hit the same incline and it would be fine sometimes. And other times I would go to that incline and I'd be just stop dead right at the bottom of it. It's like, okay, do I have to jump? And then I jump and then I would just go up and then right back down, like same spot, like I didn't fucking move. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't make fucking sense. Like, it could have had better design when it came to things like that. And like, especially for a game where, you want to be moving around like crazy and you want to be getting the best angles that you can. If you're trying to hunt something and you're on a cliffside, you're pretty much fucked. You're like pretty much fucked anytime if you have to move. If you can stand still and hunt something, great. But if you have to move, you're fucked in this game. And I think it's unfair to the player.
If she wasn't such a good climber when the game allows you, I think that would hurt less. It's a very interesting point that you're bringing up because playing the game, I didn't have a problem with it. I kind of tried to like balance the jank, and I guess I just did it and I didn't even think about it. But yeah, the fact that she can like climb this spire, all the way up to the top, somewhere where it's cold. You climb like a skyscraper basically, but she can't jump over this rock. It's completely inconsistent, and it's just poor design.
Like she can't put a hand down to help herself get up over this rock, but she can climb a skyscraper.
She can climb a moving, gigantic, vertical, long neck robot.
Oh yes,
giant metal giraffe.
Right. I think it's supposed to be like
A radar
stegosaurus,
tower.
right?
What's that?
And whatever.
Bronchiosaurus.
Bronchiosaurus, whatever.
Okay.
Stegosaurus, I don't know.
Giant neck. You got to climb up it to
Big
do
necks.
things.
But you have to do that, and that thing's moving.
With an Enterprise dish.
Yeah, I was
Right.
thinking the same thing. It was like, oh, that's Star Trek, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's like you either have these abilities or you don't. And, bothers me.
Okay, I completely understand that. Like I said, it didn't even occur to me. I thought we were going to talk about the combat.
Yeah, you had zero
Oh, wait,
dawn
now-
on that.
I had
was-
Zero Dawn.
No, that was still coming through. Combat wise, I mean, you had slow time, which you could buff on it.
Bullet time with a bow.
Yeah,
I hate the combat. I fucking hate it.
All right, come on.
I-
Hit me. What do you mean? What do you
Yeah.
mean you hate the combat?
Okay, name one enemy that isn't the most effectively fought by just shooting it with arrows. You
It's-
get the arrows at the beginning,
okay.
and I hate the fact that you have to go hunting, and then in the middle of it, you run out of arrows, and you're like, it's okay, I'll just pause the game and make more arrows. You either have the arrows or you don't have the arrows. You can't craft 100 arrows in the middle of combat and
Well,
just be fine with it.
That's a game thing, though.
I
do that in
hate
so
that.
many
That's
games, though.
gameplay.
Well, no, I don't
You
mean
either
like this
have the
game. I mean
bullets or you don't.
that's a video game thing.
Okay, so in Fallout, can you create bullets?
No, you have to run to a
You have
bench.
to
or you
get
have
to a
buy 'em.
crafting station
Or you
to
have to
make
buy 'em,
bullets.
yeah.
That's my point, right?
So
So you're just saying you don't want the crafting to be available in the actual open world.
While
go
you're
go
in
somewhere.
combat, even if it was just while you're in combat, it drives me nuts that, so I'm fighting the first Deathbringer,
Yeah.
right? And you're shooting fucking arrows at it, and you're running out of fucking arrows, and you're just like, okay, this thing's only halfway dead, right? You're out of ammo, and it's like, well, I guess while this thing's shooting machine guns and heat-seeking missiles at me, I'll just sit down and craft 80 arrows. Get the fuck out of here. That's fucking insane. I'm sorry. Like, you either can or you can't craft it, period. It's just ridiculous. And, the combat itself is, I guess, fine. The dodge button doesn't fucking work. It never fucking works.
did you have the upgrade where you can do
I
quick
disagree
dodges
with
and
that
longer
one.
Dodges? No.
Staved off
You have
many
no
a deaths.
invincibility frames on dodge.
Okay.
I looked it up. You have 0, which is fucking nut. There's no reason to use it. Just run.
Oh no! I with that fact, I agree with like the crafting like in the middle of battle. That's maybe a little too convenient.
It's out.
But
It's immersion breaking.
but when it comes to like the dodging and the rest of the point, I totally disagree. That was the main thing that I did to avoid dying in so many situations. And yes, eventually I got the upgraded dodge roll. But even beforehand, where it's like the short roll, if you time it out properly, when it's like a scavenger or a ravager, whatever the hell is coming at you, when it's jumping and you're able to jump off to the side and avoid damage,
Right.
you can utilize it properly. And then where it's like your main tool, that, or at least I won't say like broad for everybody. For me, that was like my main tool of avoiding damage was rolling.
So is sprinting any less effective?
That's what
Yes,
he's trying to say.
Absolutely.
I don't think it was.
For certain attacks, once you get to like certain type of machines who just have such an AoE that's just like ridiculous, yes, like actually dodging and rolling, whether it's towards it and like trying to get behind it or a little more off to the side, maybe not necessarily back, but
so one of the things I noticed, maybe it's with the upgrade. I never got the upgraded dodge roll, so maybe this is
Okay.
my problem. But so invincibility frames, right? If you talk about like a Dark Souls or Bloodborne,
It's a huge part of the.
it's a huge part of the way that the game works.
oh yeah.
Right? Because as you dodge, you have a certain amount of frames of invincibility. It's in fighting games too. It's a big thing, right?
It's a very much established video game thing. Invincibility.
You have 0 invincibility frames on the default dodge in this, which means that it does nothing for you except it's a different animation than running.
I still
Understood.
yeah.
But my point is, if you're going to reward players for dodging at the proper timing, but there's no dodge, like there were times that I dodged at the right time, but the attack clips your foot and you take damage, and you're like, but I timed it right,
and
it
it's
doesn't,
the same amount of damage.
and
too.
it doesn't matter because you don't have invincibility frames, right? So even if you time it perfectly, you're still taking damage. in certain scenarios.
In certain scenarios.
Right. That's my point. If you're going to reward people for high skill play, which is the whole point of like gameplay, risk reward gameplay, right?
Yeah.
If you mistime your dodge and you screw it up, you should take the full amount of damage, right? If you don't and you get it right, then you shouldn't take any damage. You shouldn't just have a chance of still taking full damage because they clipped your character model. That's the whole point of iframes. And we can argue about whether iframes are something that you want to have in a game like this.
Yeah.
Because, you still could get hit. Like, you can dive out of the way of bullets, but the fact is that bullets still hit you, you still get shot. But if you're making a third-person, right, action-adventure game, it's pretty standard. And it bothers me when you're like, okay, and you can hit while you're prone on the ground. Like...
Yeah,
It's
that
just
one
like-
was a pain in the dick.
Holy shit. Like, I get that it's trying to be challenging, but, like, there's challenging and fair.
Yeah, it's unfair. I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
I didn't really take a Dark Souls lens to this thing. I didn't even think
I
about.
apply Dark Souls
invincibility.
lenses to everything.
I know. It makes sense. It makes sense. I get it.
Everything.
But
It's the best third-person game in the world. Prove me wrong.
I'm not gonna try.
Bloodborne.
Same one. Same game.
You let him know. That's it.
I mean,
No,
every once in a while I'd do a dodge and it would still hit me, but it never got to the point where I was frustrated. I figured, I must have just mistimed it. So I don't know.
It just bothers me from a gameplay perspective. If you're going to have a high-risk reward thing like that, there better be a reward to doing it. And there isn't one. At least until, I guess, when you get the upgraded dodge roll, that's a longer distance.
It helps, but I mean that's not that's not make or break right there.
It's a press hold.
Yeah, it's like short roll or long roll.
Okay.
You want a
So-
6-inch or a 12-inch?
Was there any
Two
point
sixes.
in the game that you felt powerful as your character?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So I this might be a good time to do this or not. I don't know, but
This is the great time, Ralph.
like I was saying in the initial impression, I had this point where I felt like I was playing the game almost wrong. Like it was too difficult. I was avoiding combat. I wasn't going out there and actually fighting them. Then I upgraded my weapons and realized that I would get different arrows, different types of arrows with a different bow if you upgrade it. So there's a plethora of different types of ammo that you can use, and yes, you make them on the fly. But once I got the ability to, there's an arrow that you can shoot and it will launch a part off of
The tear.
machine. Yeah,
Tear arrows.
yeah, okay.
Yep.
There are arrows you can shoot that you can corrupt that machine to fight other machines. So it's like, okay, I just want to go from point A to point B here. I don't feel like hiding or whatever. I'll just shoot that sawtooth, and then they'll all start fighting on their own, and I'll keep walking. I got the sharp shot bow all the way up to the point where I can have, well, all of them. I could have 3 arrows on my bow at once, and if you hit a weak point with that, I had it modified to the point where I was dropping 1,000 or 1,100 damage on a machine or on a person. Now, I don't even have to do it on a person because they don't have that much HP. But if I have a distinct memory of fighting a Thunderjaw that I had I don't know, maybe a quarter of the way down, and it has a heart in the center. And if you expose that and you shoot it, I didn't one shot it, but I took the rest of it, and it was 1,100 damage. So yes, you do get to the point where you're powerful. On top of that, I looked up all the locations for the power cells, and I got the
shield weave.
the shield weave armor.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't sure how good it was until I put it on, and it basically makes you invincible.
You're godlike by that point.
And that's also what I meant. For the end of the game, it was a little anticlimactic. I had that armor,
Right.
and I just
So how many
finished it.
hours into the game do you start getting those abilities where you just feel strong?
that it can actually be pretty early on. The first thing that I did, all of the skills it's like a skill tree.
Right.
You start with I have 1 skill point, and then
Yep.
the next level is 2 skill points, and then the final 2 tiers are 3 skill points. The very first thing that I did was to be able to shoot multiple arrows. That was the very first thing that I maxed out. So by the time I was level 10, I can shoot 3 arrows at a time.
I did a lot later.
Now, it does take some time to be able to grab the ability to shoot the ammunition, the tear arrows that you were talking about to start taking off components, which greatly takes away health from the machines. But even with just your regular arrows, at that point in the game, you have a significant advantage on the machines. And when they start throwing the new bigger ones, like here's our enhanced ones, it's like, cool. Well, I can shoot 3 arrows at a time if I time it right, and then I can run up and slide off to the side and restock the 3 arrows, pull them back on my bow, and hit it again and again. I don't want to say it breaks the game, but it puts a lot of the battle in your favor. And then later on, I think it's only 2 or 3 missions before the very final one is when you can get the last power cell for the shield weave armor, which gives you a full health bar of shield.
Regenerates.
And if a little bit gets knocked off, if you hide for about 5 to 10 seconds, completely restores itself, and then you can go back. But you kind of have to manipulate the weapons and armor a little bit with your modifications to upgrade to that point.
So
I'm sure we all did that.
So let's talk about it. So, no, I mean, but let's talk about that, right? So, like, I agree that, like, you want to feel powerful at certain points, and I understand that, and I get it. But, I mean, the fact is, like, I never want to be either.
I get that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
no,
I never want to feel underpowered where everything is a futile fight against, Doom, right? Yeah. And I never want to feel like I'm a god walking through the game, right? Where everything's no challenge at all, right? And what it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my experience was all on the left side of that bell curve, right? There was no sweet spot where I felt like I was being challenged. These battles were difficult, but they were also fair, and I could get through them if I apply myself and use strategy, versus, like, I'm super powerful now. I can notch 3 hours, and I have regenerating health.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There is a sweet spot. I had at least a 15, 20-hour sweet spot.
Right,
in
okay.
there.
Yeah, and so
maybe
sorry,
I never got there. But that,
no, it's fine. When you start to mix up, like,
shouldn't take 20 hours to get there, though.
No, it doesn't.
The elemental weaknesses of different types of machines, and using fire arrows, using ice arrows, if you freeze them, you do more damage.
Yeah.
You guys probably didn't even encounter the stalkers, did you?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. They're like
the stealth machine, basically a stealth panther. Yeah,
it's the predator, but it's a panther. It's like only in jungle-ish areas, and it has these little traps that if you get too close to it, it'll go off, and
like
then it
flares
attacks you, and it shoots.
Yeah.
It shoots little laser blasts at you. It's the predator.
The last new one that I saw was this giant fire breathing.
Oh, the bellow.
Yeah. They're just
bellow belly or whatever they call them. Yeah.
They're a pain in the ass, but
yeah. And then it starts getting to there is a point where you see, like, that the one you're talking about, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to fuck with that. And then about like 5 to 8 levels after, like, you start building up, once you first encounter it, you're like, okay, no, I feel confident being able to take this on. But that's also because they throw so much at you that you have to start adapting to each and every machine, which is where at least it comes in handy having the 4 weapon slots, and within that you could have your hunter bow, which has your regular arrows, fire arrows, and your tear, which is the one that pulls off the components. And then you get the war bow, which has your frost damage, your shock damage, and your corruption. So learning, like, when it pops up for a new enemy in your notebook, you're like, okay, I'm going to study this for a second. Well, if I hit this component with a fire arrow, that might trigger an explosion, which might take quarter to half of his life away.
And
so I'm initially,
damage.
so I'm going to initially hit him with that. And then right after I do that, oh, he has this component that's a weakness to the tear arrows, so I can just rip it right off and take more health. So you're running into it, and you hit him with a couple elemental arrows to create that nova of whether it's shock or frost or fire or whatever it is. And then you quick switch over to your other bow of whatever has the highest damage and tear, and it's like, I'm just gonna ripping this off. Oh, and then he starts moving again. I'm gonna bring out the slingshot, and then I'm gonna freeze him, and then I'm gonna hit him more because that's gonna slow him down. He makes it more weak, and I get extra XP just by having a frozen enemy while I kill him. So there's a lot of different components that you have to put together to be able to take some of these down. Some of them, like the Striders, they're easy. They have like the little radar in their back. You hit them with a triple shot arrow, it's pretty much ripping right off, and then you hit them where their like fire sack is or whatever the fuck is going on, and then that does more damage. But I mean, that's pretty much where you have to be
It was
able
also
to.
your nickname in high school.
Which
Fire
one?
sack.
The fire sack.
Fire sack. Not wrong.
Shoot the fire sack.
It did. It fired.
I also want to say that, like, yes, the variety is what makes the gameplay really work for me. Like, there was a point where I wasn't really enjoying it and had to take a step back and focus on that variety and focus on the weaknesses, because I really kind of felt underpowered. And I was just using the bow, like you were saying, John. Then I started to use the slingshot, and I started to use the rope caster a lot more, which that's the one that just pins them to the ground.
Ropecaster's really good.
Yeah, and I got the super one or whatever from the Hunter's Lodge. So I could shoot a Thunderjaw like 6 times and he's entangled. And from there you just start picking away. And Steve, I don't know if you got the bow that I got, because it was on the sharp shot bow. It's a purple arrow that has like it's almost like an EMP. Like you shoot it and it goes and it makes pieces fly off, because it's not the tear, because I have that one too, but that one was like, okay, I'm gonna pinpoint the weapons on the Ravager or the blaster or whatever. I'm gonna hit that, and then I'm gonna pin it to the ground, and I'm just gonna unload on its own gun on its fucking face, and blow it into pieces. The big hunts and just constantly like pinning them to the ground and taking pieces off, I really enjoyed the depth to the combat there. Because you can say whatever you want about the other stuff. I started to really enjoy it maybe at the 30-ish hour mark.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like
It's so long.
But there's a lot of components where it's not a matter of just like shooting them in the face. You have to literally pick them apart. And I get that. Yeah, I was a little frustrated because there's not a whole lot of games that actually have that component to it. I'm like, this is annoying. I need to go here and there and do that. And then eventually, once you start getting used to it, you're like, okay, so I'll do this and that. Oh, I got a new weapon. Can that help with it? And then you start trying to integrate it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it gives you the option to have such a variety of way to take these things down that I liked, where I can do frost arrows, or I'm just going to tear off all the component, which is pretty much all I did. Like the
but there wasn't any explanation on how to do any of this stuff.
Maybe
I missed it. Maybe I'm just crazy.
It was my mindset is part of the reason that it took me so long to get there. Like, you think you're just going to shoot arrows at whatever and not use the variety.
But couldn't you have spent if you would have spent like 3 or 4 more hours in that like first little area, right, with Rust, right, like just being like, oh, and this is like the slingshot, and we use it to do X and Y and Z, right? And this is the netcaster, and we use it to do X and Y and Z.
That's what the Hunter trials are for. The Hunter trials
but they never
are your
tell you to go there.
They're your tutorial for the weapons.
Sorry, actually, there is a tutorial
a little video
option
this big?
like down at the bottom where it's like, here's how to use it. Yes, it's like the little video, and then it comes in, it's like, here's how to utilize it. Here's a mission, go do it. Right. So that's how to hey, here's a brand new weapon. You have no idea what to do to it. Here's a tutorial mission.
Gives you a quest
on how. Yeah, it's exactly
that gets buried in.
Yes.
No. Well, it pops up on the screen every time you get a new weapon.
I know,
it says.
I'm not saying that it's not there. I'm just saying that
honestly,
it's not easy to get there.
If you wanted to spend an extra 8 hours traversing shitty terrain to go do missions to learn how to use the weapons properly.
Well, once you get the weapons and you try to traverse.
I mean,
it
was fine. I did it without. Like, I was a big fan of the tripcaster, the ropecaster. I used the sling, and I alternated either the regular bow, war bow, or the sharp shot at any given time. Actually, I'd usually keep the sharp shot, and I'd alternate the slingshot with the
rope caster.
regular bow.
Oh, yeah. A regular hunter bow was
shot
like
5 things at once, or like it was like it was like a little shotgun.
of the little stormcaster at the end, where like the
I
electric
forgot
one.
about that. No. The there's like it shoots like metal rods.
It's
or
just
something
like metal
that.
rods,
Yeah.
all
Huh.
like 25
Yeah,
of them in
yeah.
a clip. And
I never. I found my niche, and
because you can wreck humans with that.
I didn't use it.
yeah, sharp shot. I
Yeah,
never.
It's like,
I didn't use like most of the weapon. I had like 3 weapons
Right.
that I actually used,
but
and that was
my thing is, it was like, here's a bow,
yeah.
here's your hunter's bow, right? And then it's like, here's a war bow, and
It
you're
should
like,
just be ammo.
and you're like, what's the difference? And they're like, they're different. And you're like, why? And they're like, we're never gonna tell you. And it's like, how? Like, I don't understand like where that came from. Like, it's a bow. A bow is a bow is a bow is a bow. Explain to me why it's different. You know what I mean?
Maybe in the sequel, if they make one, they'll have one bow, and you just have like 8 quivers on your back.
There
But
you
that
go.
would make more
That would be.
sense.
that
It almost
be kinda
would, yeah.
cool.
Right? Like, it's a bow. It shoots things.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Yeah,
Like-
like hunter bow, war bow. What was the difference between the two?
Hunter bow could only fire tear, regular, and fire
but
arrows.
why?
on war
Quiz.
bow.
Yeah,
yeah,
why?
exactly.
Exactly.
Well, there is no why when it comes to it. It's just like, here's a new weapon. This is what this weapon can do. Like any
Right.
other weapon you usually come across in any other
I just
type
feel
of...
like it was needlessly complicated. For
Maybe
that.
Yeah, it
Shot
Give us a
could be
crossbow.
bigger.
Give us a crossbow instead of like having 2 bows.
Well, that's what
There-
there
is one that's in there.
and it shoots like 5 arrows at once. It's awesome.
it's ridiculous. But I mean,
Doesn't
it's,
do any damage.
if you don't actually go through the tutorials, which I really didn't, I'm like, hey, I have a new weapon. Let's find out what this does. It doesn't tell you anything.
No.
Like the corruption arrows, never used it. Shock arrows, a couple times here and there. It's
Ever
like,
use the corruption arrows.
no, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
All I really used was literally hunter bow and the sling. And that's it. Sling was to throw a freeze bomb or shock, whatever the weakness was, to stun them, and then switch over to the hunter bow with tear arrows and just start ripping off components and have the right modifications on it to help with damage.
So while we're on Game Killer, can we talk about fucking inventory in this game?
That is a pain in the dick.
Yes, let's talk about the inventory.
Inventory sucks in this game.
It's awful.
Terrible.
There is a perk that I got called Hoarder that gives you 120 spots.
Yeah,
I
me too.
can't tell you, even by the point once you start getting in the later game, they're always filled.
Right.
And then you're going in, and I also got the other skills so you can sell stuff off out of your inventory, so I'm not just dropping it. The amount of times I had to do that, I would rather have either like a weight system like Fallout has, that's perfectly fine. Or, honestly, by this point, like this type of game, don't put a limit on it. If I'm going to pick up, 1,500 sticks so I can make fucking arrows, don't yell at me when I try to pick up another stick. It's like, if I want this shit, let me have it. And the one other thing that fucking bothered me about it was no level of importance when you're looting a body. You could loot like one of the more rare machines that are going to give you a rare mod or a rare item.
But they have different colors on them. What do you mean? What do you mean by no importance?
More so where, let's say, if you down an enemy and it's purple, which means there's a very rare item.
Yeah.
It will pick up the common item first and still leave the more rare item behind. So if you don't do your due diligence and you just run up to a body, think you loot it, hit triangle to grab everything and run away, and don't realize the little marker's still there.
Well, if your mods were full, you probably left the mod and took everything else. Right?
Not even the mod.
Okay.
Resources, because there's ones where there's like the other small, medium, large like storage things that are only meant to be like sold. If there was that one blue, which was one of those mods that you can just sell for currency, and a bunch of like commons, whether it be sticks or blaze or something else, it'll pick up all the commons and leave the ultra rare just left behind if you don't have room for it.
That sucks. And there's also no easy way to organize anything in your inventory.
No, they have the little filter, but
and
by
it's not
what?
clear. Like, all right, so you start looking at weapon mods and armor mods and all this kind of stuff. Which ones of these are better? Like, show me how it affects my character's stat sheet. Show me how it affects what does.
That's there though.
Well, you have to. It's like he's saying, if
For the
you go
weapon,
into like your inventory and look at mods, it just tells you what it is.
Right.
You have to go over to crafting and then start fucking around with the mods themselves to show what the other abilities
It's
are.
just not intuitive, and I've seen it in so many other games that it's so much easier to.
No,
use.
you can streamline that.
Yeah, I hate that with the inventory.
It's 2017, Ralph.
I know.
Yeah.
there's no like way to categorize and no way to really know how many of a certain item you can hold. Like, why can I have 100 blaze and that's a slot, but I can only have like 5 lenses and that's a slot? And slots are of equal importance. Why?
Right.
Why is it like this? Why can I not just have
And
98
if any
lenses?
Game, like, I'm not a fan. I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of the Fallout weight limit stuff.
Even that is
but at
more
least
manageable.
it fucking makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, this is just like you can have 500 sticks.
Okay.
Okay.
Where am I hiding those?
Where am I putting those?
And
Yeah.
if you can have 500, why even have a limit?
Right. Exactly.
It doesn't.
It's so bizarre. Like, there was a time when I was fighting a big thing,
A big thing.
and
a
I
big
ran out
machine.
of sticks, and I literally was running around looting sticks and making arrows in the middle of combat, and it was like,
So that was your moment.
I was
there
like,
to
this doesn't fucking work. I was
always-
sorry. That's insane.
Yeah.
run out of rope. I kept running
Right.
out of rope.
See-
I bought like 1,000 pieces worth of rope.
But then
before
bought
the
it?
final battle. I went and I bought it because I was so. I know you have to loot it off of machines, but like I had none, and I kept using the rope caster so much. I think I just burning through it.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, it's like, how do you get to a point where it actually works? There's no stash. Like, if they could make it when you're in a town, you
Yeah.
could just put some stuff in a box.
True. Very
Yeah.
true.
Or hey, here's an apartment.
Right. Yeah.
Something.
A tent.
Somewhere
Like,
that
a
I
tent.
can put my other belongings.
Just so I can put, like, hey, here's these mods that I'm not using right now, but I might want them later. Like, or here's 27 bundles of extra sticks.
Yeah.
You can't, and it's just oppressive.
I will say the only way to get around, especially when it comes to the items you need for crafting, is loot everything. And anybody who's listened to this for at least the past year or two, whenever it comes to any open world RPG, I am a loot whore
And you were constantly having to go into your inventory and disassemble stuff. I bet.
all the time. I mean, there was obviously you had to build it up, but pretty much like by the end, I had 1,600 Ridgewood sticks or whatever it is, and then because the only thing I used was tear arrows, so it was Ridgewood stick and metal shards, the currency to make these things, and no problem at all. Those were like the main things that I had stacked up. So it is possible to reach that point where you can always have like a unlimited supply of whatever you need to craft, but there were so many other things for buying certain weapons because you needed like the machine
you didn't want to
hearts
get
or the
rid of
machine
anything.
lens.
You
Exactly.
never knew when you
don't-
were going to need it.
Yeah, because you can get to a certain point and look at everything of like your crafting, like, oh, I need one of this, one of that, and that's exactly where I left off to be able to for like my carry capacity crafting. I need all these animal parts. I don't actually know what I really fucking need. And then I just kill everything and hope it works out. And
Right.
then my inventory becomes full. I'm like, oh, well, I have all these extra goat bones.
How great
That's
would
true.
it be if you could just tag shit? Like, I'm trying to make tear arrows, right?
Yeah.
I need to get X and Y, right? X comes from this animal and Y comes from this machine.
Well, you could
Yeah.
create quests to like purchase something, and I guess you did that. But you're talking about
Like, I just want to
like
scavenge
for the
the
crap, yeah.
parts to go do something, and I can't.
Yeah. I don't,
It's broken, and I think that's all we need to say about it.
yeah. I mean, that pretty much sums up for the inventory stuff.
All right, so let's.
Is there anything else gameplay?
No, there's not.
I mean, final thing I just want to say is like I really enjoyed the big hunts, and that's
Yeah, I did like where they did, for the most part, keep introducing new challenges, but then at a certain point, like once you have like the shield weave and the best bow
If you
available
get it.
before, if you get it. I mean, because you could mod up some of the other stuff to get you to the point. You feel godlike. I mean, it got the best of me like once or twice. Got a little over excited about
Fell
taking
off a
something down,
12-foot cliff.
and then all of a sudden like 3 other machines that I didn't notice start pouncing, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I can die. But there is a certain point where it's like, nope, it's like throw whatever you have at me, because this just isn't a challenge anymore, which is everything that's left in the game by this point. I think I'm like level 52 with the best of everything, and it's like one of the fire bears, which is like DLC. Stupid fucking ridiculous enemy the first time you see it. Now I just need to dodge a lot and make sure my bows are on point, and I'll be okay. All right, so we're gonna do a little necking, and
We're doing necking?
yeah,
Wait, what?
We're necking.
I didn't sign up for this.
We're gonna no, you're in now. Here we go. We're gonna lean on into some graphics.
Wait, do you know what necking means?
Graphics.
Isn't that where if one man loves another man, and
Yes.
then they okay?
Yes, it is.
All right, just wanted to make sure. See, it's on point, right?
He's got it.
I mean,
Got it.
Fucking
that's-
Guy Fieri over there?
That's
It's
what
on
we do.
point, man. It's on
Saying a
fucking
lot.
point.
I'm
Heard
the
a lot
I'm
in
the
the last minute.
Yeah.
I'm the mayor of Neckin Town.
I think this game looks great.
It looks beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
I mean, I've seen it on a PS4 Plus or
Pro.
Pro. I'm sorry.
Pro? Oh.
Fuck, I don't know anymore.
Is there really any difference between the two?
There is.
Okay.
It's pretty.
Yeah,
on those.
4K,
4K.
HDR.
It's really pretty in 4K.
I have HDR on mine.
It's just
on your what?
it's
My
a beautiful
normal
game.
PlayStation.
The
Yeah.
textures are good. It's
Upscale.
it's nice.
It enables it.
It's nice to look at. That's all I'll say about it. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a pretty looking game.
It's well put together.
The armor sets are kind of what you would expect. I don't think anything is like super remarkable. I think the enemies actually look pretty cool.
Agreed.
But I don't necessarily think that like the armor is anything great. This game came out like 2 years too late to miss Warframe. Warframe has a lot of
That's a really good comparison.
of
What is
things that
Warframe?
look exactly like it's
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
it's like a free to play game, but like they have this like neo sci-fi type of feel to it, and all of the armor looks like it would come directly from that game. And it's
Interesting.
like, fuck, you guys missed it by like a year
Yeah.
from being original. And again, it's just like one of those things where I was like, oh man, it just looks like something else.
I never even thought of comparing Warframe to it, especially like the textures that they put in, especially with the machines,
Yeah.
and the way they moved. It's God, yeah, I never actually thought of that. It's a really good point.
I was wearing that armor that has like the really big like horns. And then
okay.
it has like the visor on it, and I was like, "This is straight out of fucking Warframe."
Oh,
Like,
you were-
this is a
you were the
starter
battle
class
one,
in
yeah.
Warframe. Yeah, battle.
I went all silent with that one. It's like I'm a bee. I'm here in the bushes.
Oh, you had the green.
The green netting thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that one up until the shield weave, and then fuck all your armor. I don't need that.
I went for the bear torso.
Did you?
Yeah. I also disabled the headdress, the head pieces. I went into the menu and just turned it off because I didn't like all the stupid.
Oh, you can
head
do that?
stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
I saw it in the menu and I was like, oh, sure. Boop. And then everybody else just has like a funny thing on their face.
Oh, I kept it on just because it's fucking ridiculous.
Can we talk
there's
how
that.
just like it's just a Bluetooth headset?
Yeah.
The Focus is just
Oh.
a Bluetooth headset.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. We completely glazed over that one.
yeah.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that at all in the story. but-
No.
It's just like
So to bring you up to speed, she finds a thing when she's a kid. It's a little triangle that attaches to like the side of your
Guitar
head,
pick.
which is basically a guitar pick Bluetooth that allows her to see all of the electronics in the machines.
With
And
a
she's
nuclear
really,
battery.
and you think she's really special for like an hour,
right, and
until
then
you find
everybody
out
has
that
one.
everyone
All
has
the
one.
shadow cards.
Yeah,
are
so
there.
I'm like, oh yeah, they all have this.
Like,
Okay.
oh, all right. Well then.
Yeah, and graphically, it's a pretty game, and art direction wise, I think it's a pretty game. I like the character design. I like, I mean, I know it's hard to do with scale in this. It almost makes me want to go back to like in a PS4 world, they try and make everything one giant map.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? In like a PS2 game, if this was a PS2 game, the first area would be an area, and then there would be an exit, and it would be like, and now you're going to the Karja.
Like Final Fantasy 12 or something.
And there would be different areas. The problem is when you make everything one big map, and you're like, these are totally different cultures with different climates, but it's like 4 miles away. Like if I drive out to King of Prussia,
Immersion break.
they don't speak Russian. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
whoa, where are you going in King of Prussia? They don't.
well, I mean, but that's the point, right? Like, it's one big map, but it doesn't have the same sense of scale when they're not separated by anything. Like, show me going across an ocean.
This doesn't really have to do with graphics.
I know. I'm sorry. I got a lot of complaints here, Clark. I know it's late. God damn it. I got to get this off my chest.
As long as you feel better at the end, that's all that's important.
I don't.
No,
The
he still feels like a waste of his time.
I did.
Oh.
So the point is, art direction's fine. The character models are pretty. I get it. I wish they would have taken more like inspiration from nature other than mammals.
Like a gator would have been cool.
There is a gator.
There is a gator.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
it's sawtooth.
other than like big animals.
No. I'm sorry.
So like some of the most
Snapjaw.
efficient creatures in the world and, most effective creatures when you talk about nanotechnology are bugs. Why aren't there any ants or beetles or
How does the ecosystem work without them?
bees? No, but I mean like
Yeah, no.
you could have had a robot bee.
Because you know how annoying this fucking game would have been to try to kill a fucking bee?
I'm not saying
You
they're
bring up an
small.
interesting point. Like,
I'm
why
not
are
saying
there
they're small. It's just
why are there normal animals at all? Why are they not all robots?
Well, why are there
because you need
people
something to
and-
eat, I'm sure. But like, it is kind of like, okay, well, why are foxes, raccoons, rats, boars, and like turkeys?
Like-
why are they there, but
Right.
everything else is gone?
But
Everything
why
else is a-
why
is a
are they
machine.
immune to the
Yeah.
what is it the
Hades or
Biomass,
like
no
yeah.
the thing where they start becoming aggressive?
Corruption,
Well,
No, not
'cause
the corruption. Before that,
the degradation.
you're right. The degradation. They're supposed to they attack on sight.
they're
Right.
not.
So why
machines.
aren't they? Why haven't
they're
they
not
just
machines.
eaten all the other animals
No.
and all the plants? Like,
Because Gaia.
sure.
Yeah, Gaia created the machines that are like animalistic,
And
the
it
animals
also
are-
created the wildlife and the humans that are there
yeah
too.
yeah. We're off topic.
Yeah, I know.
I
It all
love
keeps
the
coming
snow
back
in
around.
this game.
The snow. Okay,
The
so
snow
yeah,
is great.
I see this game as like,
Snow Simulator 2017.
well,
Yeah. Oh,
it's-
put it on the docket.
It made me think of. I know I've said it a million times. It made me think of Skyrim, and then when I got to like the desert area, it made me think of Afghanistan in Metal Gear
Wow.
Solid 5. Metal Gear
okay,
Solid 5.
okay.
Let me
I was waiting
finish.
for the game
Let me
reference.
finish.
It's like, wait.
After Ralph's
Made me
3
think of
tours.
Afghanistan. No. There were several instances where it reminded me of Metal Gear Solid 5, actually, but that's not graphics. Graphically, I am in agreement. I think it looked great, and it looks great on my TV, and I really enjoyed the visuals.
Yeah.
Yes, and the the machine design. I really enjoyed. What is? I mean, sometimes it's like, is that a scavenger or a ravager, or a sawtooth or a ravager? Which one is that? But most of the time, I was really interested to see something new.
I like for the fact that when they were having dialogue between characters, the characters actually like facial movements along with like the way they were talking actually look like what they were saying, because we've seen games before. It's like, oh, we'll make it so the characters can actually speak to each other, and it just looks off, where this actually looked like, oh, okay, I could just have like subtitles off and whatnot, and actually not to like read lips, but the sound matched like what they were
The
trying to
flappies.
express. Yeah.
Yeah, the facial
Sure.
animations matched what they were trying to convey.
Yeah,
Yes.
if there was empathy, there was like the little facial look, man, everything else. It was that I really appreciate the detail to that one.
Cool.
All right, so let's get a little corrupted and move into some music/sound.
Music.
Don't you laugh at me in my transitions.
Corrupted.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's get corrupted
you be
right
the-
after we got finished necking.
Yeah.
God.
Let's get deranged.
The voice acting was pretty decent. I thought, with the exception of Alloy, there was a really good range of emotion. Again, I didn't experience a lot of like the end of the story. I don't know if she gets like more, if there's like better voice acting, but I didn't think she was voice acted very well. But like, I thought the actual like weird like sci-fi bestial sounds coming from the machines were actually pretty cool. Like, you know, like Watchers like chirped a little bit, and like the Sawtooth, you could hear him like, you know, thudding around and kind of low growls and shit like that. Like, I actually appreciated that because I started to get a sense of like, oh, I can actually like hear what the animal is before I can see it, or hear what the machine is before I can see it.
Right.
And like that to me is good sound design in general. I didn't really think none of the music comes to mind in the game for me. There was like I thought it was like, again, good ambient music. Nothing really sticks out to me. That's all I really wanted to say about the sound, honestly.
I mean, when it comes to the actual music, it's really not too much. You have your, like, when you're running through an area and there might be something around, you notice, like, the shift in the atmosphere of music where it gets a little more serious.
The danger music. It had, like, this high-pitched tone that started to grate on my ears.
A little bit.
Anybody else heard that?
I mean, that was one. Something that personally annoyed me every single time that you hit the center button and went into your like options and like your between your like inventory, crafting, map, and all the rest of that, it started over every single time. So I could like craft something and then go back. I'm like, oh, maybe I forgot something. It's like, boo, like every single time, over and over. It's like, personally, me, it's like I'm in and out of menus sometimes, depending on the situation, and it's just like I don't need to hear the same thing. Just have kind of like even maintain the same like bass soundtrack that's going on like in the environment, just to kind of like, I don't know, make it seem like it just progresses into it.
We should do a Mubbers on menu music.
We should. We should. Best ones.
Riveting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Final Fantasy series.
It should
Best
just be
menu
a segment
music.
in all your reviews. Menu music.
What'd you think of menus?
We're adding it in.
Menu.
Menu.
So, I agree with you. The sound in this, I like the creature sounds, and they're loud enough that they get your attention. The voice acting, fine. I mean, it was okay.
Bless you.
I wasn't really super interested in any of the characters.
No one really stood out.
Nobody really stood out.
No.
This was one of those games, and I don't do this a lot, so this bears to be said, but this is one of those games that I put on music on Spotify while I was playing it. And I listened to music because you could still hear the creatures, and it was fine.
Yeah.
I had subtitles on, and I just kind of dealt with it. Like,
it's
it didn't engage me in a way. Like, there was no emotional like, hey, this music is like building to a crescendo, or this sound design is like building to something, and it's just like, it's there, it's fine, it's technically acceptable. How I would basically review this whole game. It's technically acceptable.
I mean, they made use of the controller speaker a little bit, which
I fucking hate that.
All it is basically like when the focus comes up.
There's
and
never a time that I want that controller to make noise.
No, it's like if I'm sitting there
I'm
and
wearing fucking over-the-ear headphones that I spent $150 on, and you're telling me I have to listen to a little tiny speaker on my goddamn controller PS4? Get the fuck over yourself.
You don't have that just disabled?
I
have that
fucking
disabled at
hate
the
that
system
shit.
level.
Yeah,
no, I keep it just so it's like if something happens, but after a little bit, like after about, well, a little bit, but like 10 hours of playing the game, and that's like the only thing is like when you pop up your focus, it goes, Brrrt. I turn it off. If I'm on the phone talking to someone and I want to browse around through a menu or something else, it's like, I'm going to be given away. I can turn down the volume all the way on the TV. And then I pop something up. It's like, Brrrt, hey, what you doing? It's like, oh, shit.
Well,
I've been had.
The only game I've ever seen that I'd like that in is The Last of Us, where it controlled your flashlight.
Oh, okay.
And it was like,
Yeah.
like you hear it, like it was very tactile because you would like click the button on. But like, fuck, I hate it when other games do that for no reason.
Never bothered me.
Oh,
It
God, I
has
hate that
never
fucking
bothered
shit.
me on any game. I don't even think I realized it was coming from the controller this time because I've been playing
Really?
with the headset too. Yeah, I don't think
Oh.
I ever noticed.
Oh, maybe I missed that.
Okay, so the sound. I want to talk about the music first. I felt like the music was damn near schizophrenic. I couldn't latch on to a theme. I would hear like certain tracks over and over again, but none of them really grabbed me, like you guys are saying. It's like the music is just kind of there. Like maybe the menu music stands out and I'll remember it. But there were a couple of times where I was like, ooh, this is starting to sound like something really good. Like, what is this? And then I never heard it again. Or it just didn't seem to have any kind of clear transition. Like, okay, now I've walked into Shadow Karja territory, and the music changes and it's distinct. It wasn't distinct. It all kind of blended together as a mash of just sounds. It didn't really do anything for me.
No, it was just there, and that's it.
I hate to say that because it didn't sound like bad in those brief moments, but overall, it's just there's no lasting impression. The voice acting, putting the Ashley Birch aside,
As you said,
I feel like 75% of the game, she's at like one sort of, and it's not any fault of hers or whatever, but the character is just kind of like at one note. And then there are some moments where she's more excited or stressed or whatever. I think she gives a good performance, but I just didn't feel like anything really special was happening. Like reading online, this game, she gets a lot of praise for her performance, but I didn't really think like this is her best work. I don't know. Maybe that's coming from me as a fan.
a little biased.
It could be. It just
Could
seemed
be.
like this is just Ashley Birch doing.
So
I think it is on her for giving a monotone performance.
Well, I mean, what I meant is like the way
As
that
a professional
they're-
voice actor.
they're directed is what I mean.
Well, it's compared to the majority of the voice acting in the game, she's on par with it.
It's just her asking questions.
Yeah, there's
Like-
not. Go ahead.
Rost, for example, was like
Oh, I thought he sounded great, actually.
he was perfect, but he never got like super excitable or anything like that. But the performance is on par because he speaks sternly without being monotone, and like I think that is just pure great voice acting. Whereas like with her, like she does get like monotone, and you're just like, I have completely lost anything that you're saying just to the tone of your voice.
Yeah, there's few instances in the game where she can actually like shine through with the performance itself, where you can really read the extra emotion being put into it. But I would even say just for like the majority of this game, it's just very like one track the entire through. This is the way we talk. Here it is. I'm excited now. Now I'm a little more somber. Here's exactly what it is. Rost actually, you could feel it when he spoke.
Even in like the kid version of Aloy at the beginning of the game, had a lot more emotionality.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does he do that to me? Because it felt more in the moment and more real compared to some of.
I feel like it was
Yeah.
only the snarky stuff that she would actually like get a little bit more like
Yeah.
involved
So
in.
what was this game
choice.
rated?
T.
I don't know.
Is this a
It was,
T?
it was a T. It wasn't mature. Well,
Can I just? This is general. This is general gaming. When a giant fucking machine comes out of nowhere and activates, and it's like 20 buildings, and you're like, it's shooting machine guns at you. Can you just get
darn.
one holy fucking shit out of it? Like when it pops out, like
No one might have ever talked like that in her world.
I
Oh,
think
God.
there was
There's no
make
one.
up a word.
They should have had new curses. They should have
Right.
had curses for their own
Frack it,
world.
like
like Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar
Battlestar Galactica. Welcome to our podcast on fracking.
frack.
I think there were two dams, maybe
Oh,
one
get out
hell
of
that
here!
were
Like you
dropped, and
counted
that was
that.
it.
Get out of here! I don't
no,
believe
like,
you for a
dare you.
second.
There was
Firefly.
Go ahead.
Firefly. They curse just.
But
it's
make
like-
up the
Yeah.
curse words then,
Yep.
and then at least use them in times. when
Oh,
they're appropriate.
Shmargy Pop.
You rusty Thundercat.
Right? They never use them,
Ho!
so it's just like fucking hacksaw Jim Duggan show up?
No, Thundercats. Thundercats. Ho! Get out of here.
I don't know what you guys are doing. They're pantomiming something I've never seen
He's
before.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who said
He doesn't know
ho
what the fuck that is.
after
No, I don't know what you're talking
after
about.
around the
He
same
lived
time
a
as
sheltered
Lino.
childhood.
Yes, yes, playing Nintendo
It
games.
has 2x4. American flag.
Okay.
Got to get the really big bottom lip up.
I think
Yeah,
we've
like you're trying to push a poop.
sealed sound.
Did we?
I think,
Yeah, stop
I think
With
pushing
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
we're
Yeah,
good.
you gotta
That's
stop-
the way you
That's
bring
it.
it together.
You got to stop pushing them poops there, Steve. I'm worried.
My hemorrhoids say otherwise. On that note, oh God, see, I was trying to go game based, but I'm like, now all I can think of is let's squeeze out some final thoughts.
Oh, God.
Oh boy.
Final thoughts.
Go ahead, Ralph.
I actually enjoyed playing this game. I enjoyed playing it to the end. I was happy to complete the game. One thing I forgot to mention in graphics was that I really loved the topographical map in the menu. Like I was just blown away by looking at the map. Like, oh wow, this is great. And if you really zoom in and look, like it's pretty close to what you're actually looking at.
Yeah.
like down to rocks. And it was
That you can't climb over.
no, that you can't climb over. But I just want to say, like, in terms of video game maps, like, wow, this is like way up there. The story is a well-paced cliche, like I said, but I really enjoyed the combat and the bigger hunts. And I think I might be tunnel visioning the stuff that I really liked and just not even paying attention to the stuff that I don't. Like, I'm just like
Ashley
weeding through it,
Birch.
like, whatever. No, not even that.
No, I'm fucking
Not
with
even
you.
that.
Ralph just feverishly masturbated.
Hearing your perspective, guys, it really sort of highlights these issues. And to me, I don't say put a stake in it and bury it. I say let's make a sequel and have some improvements, and that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'd like to see. Maybe as a launch title for the next generation. Maybe not. I don't know.
PS6, here we come.
5.
No, we're looking at 6.
We're looking at 6. I left a lot of quests undone. Like I said, I put about 60 hours into it, and I think there's a lot of content here. I'm probably going to play the DLC because it interests me, but I don't think it's that bad for a new IP for a first game. I genuinely enjoyed it.
Clarkman, what you got for us?
I think this is a game that got initially overhyped because people wanted to latch on to a new IP. And it's one of those things that had great reviews when it came out, and you could tell that those great reviews hadn't beaten the game yet or didn't want to look at it critically. And then you start to see the later and later those reviews came in, the lower the score got in general. There was like a weird trend on Metacritic because I wanted to look it up, and I was very curious about it. But like you can see a trend as more people came in with later reviews, they were lower, and I was like, okay. So I feel kind of justified in how I feel about the game. I feel totally fine reviewing it having played 10 hours. I don't necessarily think I need to see the end of the story to give it an honest review. I won't comment on the story as much because the general archetype, if it is as cliched as it was explained to me, then it's a shame. And I really honestly they should take a stab at a sequel. I agree with Ralph, but as coming from a much more critical of the game type, they should take a stab at a sequel. I'm sure a lot of people would clamor for it, and there would be people like me who would be curious to see if it was just better in general.
Give her a glider, and we got a sequel.
It could be.
No, just fix the fucking climbing. Seriously, if they were just like, we fixed climbing, I'd be all
10 out
in
of
for it.
10.
There you go. Without really getting into any of the hype before it was released or while it was just released or even months after, just taking the game as it is, it's like, hey, here's a game. It's going to end up being open world. Here you go. I enjoyed it by that aspect. I'm going to jump on the boat of do a sequel because there are still things that can be a little more, you can tighten it up a little bit, a few more options. You joked about it, but a glider, perfectly reasonable within like the technology-based stuff that they're doing, and for the fact that there's flying shit and no one's attempted flying shit.
I actually hope that we'd be able to mount one of the one of the birds, and when that didn't happen, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like you're given this override, where you can override machines to have them fight for you, where there's like 3 different ones that you can actually use as a mount to, get around the areas. I mean, if they were to do a sequel, I would buy it in a heartbeat. There hasn't been a game like this that's just enthralled my interest to this extent in a long time. I mean, trying to pull me away from this game wasn't really feasible. I wanted to keep going. Now finally reaching like the end game, and then there's the extra side missions, errands. I don't have interest in those. Reaching the level that I have now, it seems like a moot point. I mean, what else is there to do? I mean, that's pretty much it. So I really did enjoy my experience with it, and I honestly, fingers crossed, I would eat up Horizon Zero Dawn 2 in like a second. What you got first, John?
So I'll keep this short and sweet. There's going to be a sequel. They're going to make one. The first one made too much money and got too good of reviews. There's going to be a sequel. The analogy that I think Ralph made is pretty good. The tunnel vision, picking out the good parts. There were a lot less gold nuggets in that turd than I think either of you realized. And it's a whole lot easier to take a little bit of poop out of a big gold nugget than take a lot of poop off of a little gold nugget. So for me, this game has fundamental issues and flaws to it that either break immersion or break the way I can feel about the game, and it just doesn't work. If you're trying to build a world and you're asking me to hook into it and spend, for the better part of 40 or 50 hours with it to beat it, and you really want me to spend my time to do that, you've got to hook me.
Mm-hmm.
And fundamental gameplay flaws that are easy to avoid and easy to get out and in front of and be like, hey, the inventory in this game, boy, it sucks. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to waste my fucking time managing inventory. Give me a game that works and plays well, period. This doesn't.
Fair. All right. Then with all of our powers combined, we come into the score.
Let's craft our score.
We're crafting it. I need some Ridgewood.
The score.
Maybe some
And
Blaze.
some wire.
Can somebody be punching me in the face while I try and craft my score?
And
Because that's apparently doable.
if
She can stop time
if you really want
with her power braids.
Power braids.
power braids.
Okay, all right, scores. Scores.
I'll get mine out of the way. For myself, I give this a solid A. I enjoyed every moment playing this game, and I'll probably still keep playing and finish up a couple of the side things and cross my fingers for number 2. Speaking of discussions of number 2, oh well, John's last because he's guest. I was trying to go.
you.
I was
Guest
trying to
goes
go.
last.
I was trying to
Fuck
go
you.
off of the poop nugget thing.
No, I know.
I got excited.
Yeah, well,
So
Panning
Ralph,
for gold over here.
panning for gold.
panning for gold.
I don't want to say that I'm stuck between Gush and Shrug, because lately I feel like I've been getting stuck between Gush and Shrug, and I tried to simplify this.
Pick one.
I tried to simplify this for myself, and I'm making it harder, I think. I'm
You're
gonna
good at
have
that.
to. I'm gonna
You're
have
making
to.
it harder because you're thinking about Ashley Birch.
Oh,
Yeah, she tips the
The
scales.
gushing and the
Giving it a
shrugging.
gush.
oh, she tips.
Getting gushed.
He's gushed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, he's done that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like he said it just as you were like starting to take your swig of water.
Okay.
All right.
Gush.
He's like gush, and you're like
Gush.
2 out of 4. We know John's position.
I don't
Position.
have a score.
Last. No.
Yeah, he hasn't
Yeah,
done the score
position is
Sounds
last.
like I'm giving it
as the
100.
guest.
yet.
Clark.
It's a rent for me. Rent or borrow it from one of your friends. I as cheap as it is now, I still don't necessarily think it's worth it.
What
John.
scale do I have to use?
Everyone's.
Everyone's one of each.
Fuck.
She had 2 more hands. You give this game 4
So
thumbs down.
I don't give it a rent, Clark, because a rent costs money. So here's what I'd give it. If you go to GameStop, which is probably going to be out of business by the time this comes out, but if you go to GameStop and you buy a used game, you have 7 days to return it.
7
And they'll give you a full refund. This is one of those games. I would play this like hard for 2 or 3 days on a weekend, and I'd be like, well, that was cool, bringing it back to the store. Like, it's that kind of game. I wouldn't spend money on it, but I'd let somebody hold on to some of my money for it for a little while. This is a shrug for me.
No, it's a it's a bash.
Bash, yeah, it can
Gush,
be shrug.
bash,
Hey.
shrug.
Yeah,
All right.
You can still shrug.
yeah, but he's allowed to have
It's
the.
I just want you to
full-
know the
Yeah, no. It's somewhere between a bash and a shrug.
Okay.
I'm not actively angry at this game because I think it has a lot of potential. It just fucks it up. And then, was yours just a letter scale?
Letter grade, and with plus or minuses for variety.
C minus. Your mom's mad at you, but, you know, C's get degrees.
That's it.
And then
No,
is
I
Harry,
love it.
Harry, what's Harry's? 10 out of 10?
Yeah.
Sure,
10 out of
yeah,
10.
he's 10-point scale.
5.
There you go. That's middle ground. What are you doing
Stop
after the
touching, just don't
entire
touch it.
thing? The very end. Well, thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. It's we actually had some I don't want to say opposing views, but we had some good points on all ends. It was
I'm right,
they
you're
were-
wrong, shut up.
They were
Sure.
opposing.
Yeah. Well, yours were
There's a
opposing.
clear
and ours were
line
agreeing.
here, Steve.
Sure,
How
yeah.
do you not see it?
It's like diagonal across. I still enjoyed our discussion. Well, John, thanks for joining us.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
John.
Special guests are
Thanks,
always
John.
great.
I'm happy to be here.
It's
You're the-
always a pleasure, John.
Specialist,
Is it?
special
Yes.
guest.
Okay,
Even when we disagree.
fair.
Yeah, that's true. That's all right. They're just going to neck afterwards.
That's not what
We're
that
not.
means.
No.
Oh,
Not
no, it still doesn't?
Stop. You gotta stop bringing that up.
Oh, I'm going to try. All right, guys. Well, hang in there, and we'll see you next week. Love y'all.
Game over.
Stay sexy.
Game over. Game over.
Thanks for listening to Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go. Stay up to date on our Facebook at facebook.com/superfunpodcast.